Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with trainer Sean O'Hagan. Sean, we're on the precipice of Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington. We'll get to that in a second, but I just want to keep this in the public consciousness. Maxi Hughes went out to the United States, didn't get the victory when a lot of people thought he did warrant the victory against George Kambosos Jr. Have you digested that defeat?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you've got to take these things on chin, haven't you? It's boxing, and we all know that anything can happen in boxing. Interesting though that we've gone out there, we stood him on his head. I had Maxi clear winner. Everybody in the arena did, apart from the three judges. I think the fairest of the judges gave it a draw, which I don't see how we could have done. I had Maxi at least 4 or 5 rounds, at least. Shared a couple as well. So yeah, we're disappointing, but you've got to take it on chin, haven't you?
I believe the team were looking to launch an appeal. Has that appeal gone in yet?
I believe that Maxi's manager is on with that now, and we're just waiting for a response. But you know, getting back to the fight itself, who would have thought it? I mean, he was meant to walk through Maxi, and he never got anywhere near. He didn't have a second plan. Even his own training team after the fight, you know, his lead man at Conor there, says to Maxi, he didn't lose that fight. The only person who thought he'd actually won it were George Kambosos' dad. Even George, you didn't see him doing any backflips, did you? What it does show, taking positives away from it, is that Maxi Hughes belongs at that level.
Right.
And you've not seen the last of Maxi Hughes.
That's right, and I believe Lou DiBello in the aftermath made a promise that he will get another big fight. Are you looking for that big fight for Maxi too?
Well, I don't know, we'll have to see. I mean, if we get any opportunities over here, obviously we'll go with them. Lou DiBello at first man in ring, and his exact words were very, very close fight, and at that point I knew what they were going to do. It's the second time we've had a bad decision with Top Rank. We had Joshua Lopez. Could have argued with that, at very least a draw. Even Top Rank guys that were there said our man's not done enough. And same again with this one. They couldn't believe it. You know, we had Shakur Stevenson at ringside shouting to George, give Maxi another run, he beat you. We had Chris Algieri. I think, well, there were just numerous. Bomac came in, and Garcia came in, and they were all at the same thoughts as us, that we clearly won that fight. So we'll see what happens, but we're not leaving it there. Max is far from done.
Pivoting into this fight, Josh takes on Leigh Wood. Plan, I guess, here not to leave it in the judges' hands too, I guess, as well.
No, I mean, listen, before we start, I'll just say that I do like Leigh. I get on well with Benn. We've worked with each other a little bit on various other things. But we can't leave it to judges, can we? Yeah. We've seen what can happen with judges, so plan is that we're not going to leave it to judges.
What's your scout report then on Leigh? Look, we've seen Leigh as someone who is, he was at the end of his career, but then he's had a resurgence, and Ben Davison now holds the title. But for your eye, what do you make of Leigh as a fighter?
I like Leigh as a fighter. I've always liked Leigh as a fighter. I mean, I was just talking to Leigh over there, and talking about 10 years ago when Josh boxed Samir Monument in Hull. I think Leigh at that time had just lost one at McDonald's. I think it was Gavin McDonald. And then he was sat years and years waiting for a fight, you know. He's linked up with Benn, and he's done very, very well. I mean, everyone says Indian summer and everything else, and but he's at the best time of his life, isn't he? I think, you know, having said all that, I think that we have got the edge. Yeah. I think we've got the edge in that we have been active. We've never had any walkover jobs. We've had that momentum, you know, apart from COVID and slip up against Lara. I think we've got momentum on our side.
We've seen Leigh show different dimensions. He's boxed against Kanju. He's been destructive when he needs to. He boxed and then waited for his opportunities against Mauricio, Lara. How do you expect him to come in against Josh? Well, I think
he's going to be on a little bit of an eye, but I have my own thoughts on the Kanzu fight. I mean, let's not forget, Kanzu had done 3-4 camps to fight Josh. Josh had done 3 or 4 fights to fight Kanzu. When we got offered Mauricio, Lara, there were a few alarm bells ringing 3-4 weeks out from that fight. But at that point, we didn't know if boxing were ever going to come back. So it's one of them, when there's a bit of a carrot dangling, you're going to take it. That's not an excuse, but it is a reason. I think Lara last time out with Leigh, he didn't turn up to fight. Everybody here, you know, say what you want, but he didn't turn up to fight. He turned up and he went through motions. And that's clear, that's evident. Getting back to Kanzo, I mean, I'm tying myself up a bit here, but getting back to Kanzo had done 3-4 dates preparing for us, and all those dates fell through. He was absolutely shot big time he fought Leigh. And you know and I know, and everybody who knows anything about boxing, that's not the Kanzo that we know. So, you know, that's how I see it. And that's genuine, that's not taking out away from Leigh. He's fought whoever's been in front of him, and he's done what he's had to do.
Disappointed that maybe the fight wasn't in Leeds?
No, not really. I mean, we've fought a lot at Leeds and Leeds Arena, but for whatever reason, stadiums and grounds have not been available. It's landed in Sheffield, but listen, we're happy to fight anywhere. We're not bothered. I mean, our first 13 fights, I think, were away from home. So we're not bothered. We don't mind going to Sheffield. And when all that mob of ours gets down there on fight night, it's going to be like being at home, innit?
A lot of people kind of said after the Lopez fight, tough road back for Josh. He's got this opportunity. I know you're obviously not planning for the loss, but it's on the table. Everything is win, lose or draw. Is it essentially done if Josh doesn't win?
No, I don't think so. I think it's boxing. You know, if you go back to when boxing was boxing, going back to 80s, 70s, 80s, lads would fight and they'd have a loss. And that went end of their careers. I mean, they'd be back again a few weeks later and have another go. So I'm still kind of old school with boxing. I don't think a loss is end of anybody's career. I think end of your career is when you decide it's end of your career, you know, but listen, don't you worry. There ain't going to be no decision making to be done. We're coming and we're winning this fight, and that's it.
A lot of people like to point the finger and say Josh has gotten quite a lot dirty, or at least mastered the dark arts in the ring. Is there any feeling to temper that a bit, or harness it if it is the case?
Oh, you mean with
the headbutting accusations?
Well, that's interesting, because if you look back at fights, it's not Josh that led with head against Lara. It weren't Josh that led with head against Lopez. And he's never had a point deducted for use of the head. You get fighters that come together, anybody who knows anything about boxing, don't make excuses, say it as it is. You get two fighters that come forward, there's always a chance that somebody's going to get cut. Now, it's in, would they have been saying the same thing if it were us that were getting cut? No, what they seem to do is they look at it, whoever's not on the receiving end seems to get the blame, don't they? So they don't look at facts properly. But no, we'll carry on as normal. We'll do whatever we have to do to win this fight.
A couple of final things from you. I'm sure you saw it. Terence Crawford, absolutely scintillating performance. It was billed as a 50-50, but it wasn't in the ring.
I never thought it was going to be a 50-50. Everybody that I know in sports seems to be going out Spence route, but there were a couple of us that said, no, it's Crawford, he's all wrong for him. Anyway, that showed to be the case, didn't it? So yeah, cracking fight.
Not talking, it's not for you to answer, but this Conor Benn situation, I know Josh is keeping an eye on it as well, but what are your thoughts on it?
I like Conor. He's an exciting fighter. He brings a lot to boxing. As far as did he do it or didn't he do it, I don't know. I don't get involved in all that, And even there was a little bit of thing with Josh. I mean, he got asked about drugs and boxing, and he said anybody who gets caught deserves to lose the licence. Straight away, the press have taken that and says, Josh says Conor Benn shouldn't be allowed in a British ring, this, that, or the, what I mean? But he never said that. He never said that. Listen, leave it to relevant authorities. Let them deal with all that. I don't get involved in that.
Fair enough, Sean. I'll leave the final word with you. October 7th, Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington. What happens in the ring?
We stop him. We stop him, simple as that. We're not leaving it to judges.
Sean, a real pleasure. All the best. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out, sir.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.